Right now on Good Morning America, first look, an avalanche leaves 9 skiers missing in Northern California. The urgent search in extreme conditions. A powerful weather system also blamed for this deadly highway pileup involving dozens of vehicles. And in the plains, wildfires raging. New video as the flames tear through homes.
The search for Today Show host Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy. The first test results are back on DNA evidence. What comes next for investigators?
Mark Zuckerberg set to testify today at a trial over whether his social media platforms deliberately try to get children addicted. What's expected in court?
The hero who helped stop the gunman at this Rhode Island hockey game speaks out. What he told his wife before jumping into action.
Like the Dukes of Hazzard, how this truck went flying before crashing into that home with a family inside.
The skyrocketing popularity of prediction markets, allowing you to bet on everything from the weather to elections, the new battle over how to regulate them.
Can boneless wings still be called chicken wings? A judge finally settles the controversy.
And later, something we never knew about George from Seinfeld.
From ABC News, this is Good Morning America, First Look.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Hannah Battah.
I'm Sophie Flay. We begin with breaking news. The search for 9 skiers missing in Northern California overnight. Officials believe the group was caught in an avalanche.
Yeah, the rescue effort is unfolding as extreme weather spreads from the West Coast to the Central Plains. Overnight, an urgent search and rescue operation underway after an avalanche hit a group of backcountry skiers near Lake Tahoe.
Medical for an avalanche in the area of Castle Peak. Reported as 9 to 10 people buried, 3 others attempting to dig them out.
Authorities say crews last night reached 6 survivors who were taking cover under a tarp, but 9 others remain unaccounted for.
We're still looking for missing people on the mountain, and we're evaluating injuries for the folks that we have and getting them extricated so that they can get a higher level of care.
Rescue teams are facing extreme avalanche risk as a powerful storm dumps feet of snow, causing whiteout conditions. The skiers, with 4 guides among them, were returning to the trailhead at the end of a 3-day trip in the Sierra Nevada when the avalanche hit. Backcountry skiers often carry safety gear like airbag backpacks, which allow them to stay on the surface of an avalanche and avoid being buried. It's unclear what equipment this group may have had. Meanwhile, the life-threatening weather is extending far beyond California. In Colorado, this massive highway pileup, 36 cars and trucks stacked like toys. 4 people were killed. Police blame heavy winds that kicked up dirt and reduced visibility. In Texas, powerful winds toppling this semi-truck. The driver is okay. And in Oklahoma, dry and windy conditions fueling multiple wildfires, prompting evacuations and pushing one fire across the border into Kansas. Multiple homes destroyed. The so-called Ranger Road fire exploding to 145,000 acres. As for those avalanche victims, rescue teams hope to launch a search by air today, weather depending.
Now to the Nancy Guthrie kidnapping. The first test results are back on crucial DNA evidence.
This morning, a forensic setback in the search for Today Show host Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy.
That family is suffering. They are hurting.
DNA recovered from a glove found 2 miles from Guthrie's home did not match samples in the FBI's national database. Another sample of DNA found on Guthrie's property is still undergoing analysis, but did not match DNA on the glove.
DNA is not as straightforward as it is on television and in movies, and so it depends on how much of it there is, what sort of shape it's in.
Investigators will now extend the DNA search beyond their criminal database and into private family genealogy data from across the country, saying, "We believe that we may have some DNA there that may be our suspect." Nancy Guthrie is 84 and has a pacemaker. It disconnected shortly after she was taken from her home early on February 1st. ABC News has learned searchers have been using a technology called Bluefly, which can detect potential signals from pacemakers. They've been using the technology during drone, helicopter, and ground searches. Investigators say they have no new evidence that Guthrie was targeted because of her high-profile daughter, but the sheriff says he does not think this was a random crime.
Targeted kidnapping.
Yes, I believe whoever did that knew what they were up to.
So do you believe
knew who they were after?
He says the best evidence they have is video from Guthrie's doorbell camera. The suspect in the video was armed. The FBI has been visiting gun shops in Tucson, asking about any suspicious customers or any sales of a holster like the one seen in the video. They're also trying to track down the sale of the backpack he was carrying, which may have been purchased at a Walmart.
Whomever took Nancy has at least done a good job of being able to hide from law enforcement. Hopefully that will end, but that remains to be seen.
After clearing all members of the Guthrie family of suspicion, the sheriff acknowledged the painful toll that misinformation and speculation are taking on the family.
The former CEO of Victoria's Secret is scheduled to be deposed today about his ties to sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. House Oversight Committee is traveling to Ohio to question billionaire Les Wexner. He's denied any wrongdoing. Meanwhile, after announcing plans to sell his talent agency, Casey Wasserman is facing new calls to step down as chairman of the 2018 Los Angeles Olympics over his ties to Epstein. And overseas, Sarah Ferguson, the ex-wife of former Prince Andrew, is shutting down 6 of her companies amid the controversy over her communications with Epstein.
A man accused of running toward the U.S. Capitol with a loaded shotgun is under arrest. He's been identified as an 18-year-old from Georgia. Police say he was wearing a tactical vest and had a Kevlar helmet and a gas mask in his car. But they say he complied when they ordered him to drop the weapon. Lawmakers are currently on recess. No word on the teen's motive.
Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg is expected to testify today inside a Los Angeles courtroom at a trial over whether social media companies have been deliberately getting children addicted to their apps. ABC's Nicole D'Antonio has a preview. Good morning, Nicole.
Yeah, Hannah, good morning to you. The anticipation for Zuckerberg's appearance today is so great. People have been sleeping outside the courtroom overnight to hold their place in line, hoping to get a seat inside for today's testimony.
This morning, Mark Zuckerberg set to take the witness stand. The man in charge of Facebook and Instagram will face questions under oath about whether his social media platform deliberately targets children with addictive design features. A 20-year-old woman who's also suing YouTube claims the apps hooked her with features like instant notifications, autoplay, and infinite scrolling, which she claims caused her depression and suicidal thoughts. She began using social media at the age of 6. Some legal analysts say jurors may have a tough time buying her argument.
They're pointing at KGM, that's the name for the 19-year-old who's the plaintiff in this case. They're pointing at KGM and saying, yes, there could be some negative things about social media, but let's talk about her. That before she got into social media, she had already had a therapist. There was already issues with her, and that's what caused a lot of the mental and physical issues that she's arguing with, not social media.
An Instagram executive testified last week that keeping teens safe is in the company's financial interest, saying, quote, "It's really hard to imagine any instance where prioritizing safety isn't good for revenue." This will be Zuckerberg's first testimony in court on the potential dangers of social media.
I think that there are harms that we need to work to mitigate.
He's previously testified before Congress, including this fiery exchange in 2024, when he addressed parents who said their children were exploited or harmed online.
Would you like now to apologize to the victims who have been harmed by your product? Show them the pictures. Would you like to apologize for what you've done to these good people?
I'm sorry for everything that you've all been through. Terrible. No one should have to go through the things that your families have suffered. And this is why we invested so much and are going to continue doing industry-leading efforts to make sure that no one has to go through the types of things that your families have had to suffer.
And TikTok and Snapchat were also sued in this case, but already settled. The trial is expected to last through March and could determine how hundreds of similar lawsuits play out in the future. Sophie.
A lot to watch for in that today, Nicole. Thank you. We're now hearing from the man who helped stop the gunman at this high school hockey game in Rhode Island. Police say the shooter, wearing a white hat, killed his ex-wife and son. One of the Good Samaritans who confronted the shooter says he first told his wife to run for cover.
As the gun was extended and my wife went running, and as soon as she cleared my sight is when I stood up on the bleachers and I jumped towards the shooter, aiming at the gun. I saw panic on his face, and I'm looking at him, and he's got the gun. There was a pause on my part, and he took the gun.
He says his hand got stuck near the gun's trigger, so it couldn't be fired. Police say the shooter reached for a second gun to take his own life. But thanks to those Good Samaritans, no children at the rink were injured.
A lot of quick thinking there. Time now for your Wednesday weather.
Good morning. That storm that brought the extreme winds to the middle of the country, bringing a blizzard to parts of Montana and Minnesota. Big-time snows, lighter snows go into the northeast today. The heaviest snows from Grand Forks over to Marquette. Maybe an inch or two of snowfall. Syracuse to about Worcester, Mass. Some rain into New York City. See, the big snows over a foot can fall not far from about Duluth. More rain and mountain snow in the west. An additional inch or two of rain up to 8 feet in the Sierra. This will go eastward. Some severe weather in the Ohio Valley by Thursday. That's your forecast. I'm ABC News meteorologist Lee Goldberg.
Coming up, a major settlement involving a popular weed killer and claims that it causes cancer.
But first, it was like the Dukes of Hazzard, how a truck went airborne, crashing into that home.
And a boy had to be rescued from this famous bridge after apparently trying to copy something on social media. Back now with a pickup truck flying straight into one family's home in Oregon. Police say the driver went airborne after hitting a mound of dirt at a construction site while speeding. The couple and their 3 children in that house were not injured. The driver faces several charges.
A teenager had to be rescued from a famous bridge after apparently trying to pull off a stunt he saw on social media. This was the dramatic rescue that unfolded after a 16-year-old boy fell into a shaft on the Queensboro Bridge in New York City.
The adrenaline that was felt, it was moving, but this is what we train for.
Video capturing this life-saving mission as firefighters lifted the teen from the shaft of one of the buttresses of the bridge. First responders had to search tower by tower.
Once I saw the shoe and the blood, I just relayed that information to the rest of the members on the scene so we could all get the ball rolling on what we were going to use to retrieve this victim once we laid eyes on them. Did he say anything? Just mumbling from the severe trauma that he experienced.
Authorities say the boy had fallen about 50 feet down the shaft, which was only 3 feet wide. They say he had climbed a section of the bridge earlier, all part of an apparent stunt for social media.
They set up a rope system from the roadbed and set down what we call a spec pack, which is a device that we use to package up patients who are in a very confined space.
A woman who knows the victim and learned about the incident online reached out to police.
I wasn't there, but these kids are panicking, and I was like, if there's someone in critical danger, I need to help.
She says the boy was climbing the bridge with a group of friends, but they ran off after he got hurt. The boy is recovering in the hospital in serious but stable condition.
A proposed deal has been reached to settle lawsuits involving the weed killer Roundup. Bayer, the company behind Roundup, has agreed to pay $7 billion to plaintiffs diagnosed with cancer. The company is facing about 200,000 claims. A settlement would not affect the upcoming Supreme Court case. Bayer claims it should not be held liable because the EPA approved Roundup without a cancer warning.
Coming up, the huge popularity of prediction markets, the battle over how to regulate them.
Also ahead, can boneless wings still be called chicken wings? A judge finally settles a controversy.
I'm with the officer right now.
It's like whatever stuff you can't get it.
We're back with the hero officer saving a baby on this Maryland highway. The trooper was in the middle of a traffic stop when another driver pulled up saying their baby was choking. Trooper Nicholas Warren performed life-saving aid until the infant started breathing again. He called the experience the most rewarding thing.
Now to an industry skyrocketing in popularity, prediction markets. They allow you to bet on a wide range of future events. There's a new battle over how to regulate these markets. ABC's Lionel Moise explains.
This morning, a battle over regulating prediction markets, which allow Americans to bet on everything from elections to the weather to sporting events to what outfit a celebrity will wear.
And we've rolled out a new prediction markets hub.
Popularity surging. One platform, Kalshi, says more than $1 billion was traded on the Super Bowl.
Kalshi lets you legally trade on anything, anywhere in the U.S.
And now the Trump administration is moving to prevent states from regulating these markets.
Over the past year, American prediction markets have been hit with an onslaught of state-led litigation.
Michael Seelig, chair of the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, says only the federal government has jurisdiction to regulate these types of markets and has done so for decades. Critics disagree, claiming these markets are nothing more than gambling.
Historically, gambling has always been regulated at a state level.
You have state lotteries, you have different choices by states to allow sports betting or not, or casinos or not.
Prediction markets have been under scrutiny with concerns about people profiting from insider trading. What would be some of the benefits of this being regulated at the state level versus federally?
The head of the CFTC lives in Washington, D.C., and he is not, next to people in Arizona who are addicted to their phone and are draining their life savings. But the legislators in Arizona are near that person, and so they're more likely to see that harm. And you saw this with things like opioids. It was the states that moved first because they saw it up front.
Utah's governor claims the prediction markets are destroying the lives of families and countless Americans, especially young men. But Seelig argues the growth of these markets proves Americans want them, and he says regulations are in place to protect people. This issue could be of interest to the White House. President Trump's son, Don Jr., is an advisor for one prediction market platform, and a prediction betting marketplace is also being launched on Truth Social. Hannah, Sophie.
Lionel, thank you. There's no bones about this next story. A judge has ruled the Buffalo Wild Wings restaurant chain can describe its boneless wings as chicken wings. A man sued, accusing the restaurant of deceiving customers because real wings have bones. But the judge says the man did not drum up enough facts to support the case. Get it? Yeah, thanks.
That was a good one.
Appreciate it.
Coming up, a surprise move by Burger King.
Plus, something we never knew about George from Seinfeld.
Time to check the pulse. We begin with new revelations about the legendary Seinfeld character George Costanza from The Man Who Played Him.
Yeah, so that was Jason Alexander. He was Seinfeld's best friend during the show's entire run.
But he says some big stars were also considered for the role, including Chris Rock, Danny DeVito, and Rosie O'Donnell. Next, the president of Burger King is taking a hands-on approach to customer service.
Yeah, this is more than a hands-on approach. He's diving in and giving out his personal phone number to customers. Tom Curtis wants feedback on how the company's doing. But first, he was worried about his wife.
The most frightening thing was telling my wife that I was giving out my phone number to all of America.
He says he hopes this helps him take customer service to the next level. And next, LeBron James loves a challenge.
He missed the start of the season because of an injury, so to stay in shape, he challenged himself to give up 2 things he loves.
I got to sacrifice something, and I actually did 2 things that I very love, and that is drinking wine and my chocolate chip cookies for dessert. I completely took it out.
He went 2 months, no cookies, no wine. And finally, it was Pancake Day in London.
And that means the annual pancake flipping competition, which coincides with Fat Tuesday. Racers in their costumes sprinted with frying pans in hand for that big event, and some incredible costumes, too.
Really impressive, too. Look at them go. Top headlines next. Checking more top stories, 9 backcountry skiers are missing after an avalanche near Lake Tahoe. 6 others have been rescued during heavy snow. Meanwhile, multiple wildfires are burning in windy conditions in Oklahoma. One fire destroyed several homes in neighboring Kansas.
A gas explosion and fire destroyed a church near Syracuse, New York, seriously injuring 5 people who were inside when officials say a propane tank exploded. Some people reported smelling gas days earlier.
Officials from Iran and the U.S. are reporting progress after nuclear talks between the 2 countries yesterday. They're hopeful a 3rd round will be scheduled soon.
The U.S. military has carried out 3 more airstrikes targeting alleged drug boats in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific. The Pentagon says 11 people died. At least 144 people have been killed since the airstrikes began last fall.
Today's weather, rain and snow from the Northeast to the upper Midwest, critical fire conditions in the plains, and feet of snow in the Rockies and Sierra.
And finally, some Italian culture from Grandma.
Here's Danny New.
As the whole world spends 2 weeks learning about Italian culture during a certain quadrennial winter sporting event.
I like pasta.
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
Fettuccine.
A music teacher in Canada has actually been helping in that department for years.
So your music students are some of the best Italian speakers in the school.
Absolutely.
Frank Moyo has built a following of millions online as he teaches his students about his family's Italian heritage through music.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
For example, his biggest smash, Buongiorno, just kind of came about organically one day while he was teaching Italian in summer school.
And it was just a greeting for my kids coming in, and I'd be on the piano because I bring my piano in, and I'd be Buongiorno.
But both his appreciation for his roots and his fame really started with his grandparents, like his nonna, Rita. Around the time of the pandemic, he began sharing videos with Rita in the garden, and his channels took off from there.
Growing up with my nonna, growing up with my nonno. We're from Calabria, and there's a huge community here, especially in Toronto, of the Calabrese people.
La ninna nanna sul divano.
A few years later, Frank has now released a children's book about Rita called Nonna.
Cetrioli, spicy peppers.
Recorded an album called Let's Go to Italy, with another on the way.
Mozzarella, parmigiano too.
But how would he feel about maybe combining the Italian and Canadian cultures?
Do you ever make a maple marinara?
No.
And when we spoke, guys, he had just finished recording that new album, so we'll see when that's coming out. Maybe he can be like Italian Rafi, who also grew up in Toronto.
That's your Good Morning America first look.
Have a great day, everyone.